I'm obsessed with comedy. I mean, my girlfriend is laughing in the background of this interview right now because all I talk about is comedy.
Well, I'm here in a theatre in London, as you can see from these beautiful red seats, and I'm here to shoot and interview Vittorio Angelone. He's a fantastic comedian. He's one of those guys who's not been on television, but yet he's selling out theatres, and I'm so in awe of that way of doing things. He's a brilliant comedian, so here I am. It's an honour. Down there is Vittorio. Vittorio, and it's I'm going to start snapping away while I'm talking. See, I know you as a massively laughy, upbeat person, and you arrived and you looked absolutely knackered.
That's funny. I appreciate that because I don't really know. It's always interesting to hear how people perceive you, so it's nice to hear that I'm perceived as upbeat by at least Steve.
You seem to have this kind of twinkle in your eye, and which you'll get, I know you have still got, and laughing a lot.
Yeah, I find everything funny. I think that's like that's something I noticed just when I started doing stand-up. Like I just immediately was like, just everything's funny. Every little bit of how everybody does everything, I think, is just hilarious.
Where does that come from? Because is that just your makeup?
I don't know how to be. I'm so not confident in how to like interact with the world at all. That anybody who like seems confident in it, I just think that's mad. Like I think it's mad when comedians are on stage and they go like, we all do this, don't we? And I go, fucking hell, I would never assert to know what everybody does, do you know what I mean? So not how my brain works. I don't think I have access to these kind of universal truths because God, I just think we're all lying. But I am knackered, to take it back to that. I feel quite tired today. I'm in the middle of the like densest patch of the tour that I'm currently on. 13 shows in 12 nights is the little run we're at now.
And you were saying that you also do a podcast, which...
Yeah, so even the days off aren't particularly day off-ish.
No. A lot of your stuff is reactive to what people are doing.
Potentially, I like to try and feel very present in the room and make them feel like I'm actually there with them. I'm not just telling them a thing, because it's quite a tightly scripted show. It's pretty...
Is that the show that you did in Edinburgh? The one I saw you do at the Comedy Store?
No. So that's last tour.
Bloody hell.
This is different tour now. The last tour hadn't even started yet, like a year ago. So I've kind of like had to turn around the show quite quickly.
And taken up to Edinburgh?
I did it in Edinburgh in August, and that's the show I'm touring at the minute, which is called Who Do You Think You Are? I Am.
Going back to the Comedy Store show, which is absolutely fantastic. What was funny about the Comedy Store one was that your support act, you booked Viggo Venn, didn't you, before he'd won? Months ago, so I really liked that story as a thing. So I was working at Vauxhall Comedy Club. They have a gong show, and I was working kind of the tech on the gong show. I remember this very nice guy, Viggo, came up and he said, oh, I'd love to jump on. It's my last night in London for a while. I'm over from Norway. Do you think you could squeeze me on? I sort of said, yeah, I'll try and get you on. And luckily, one of the open micers kind of stormed off in a huff at the gig. So from the tech booth, I went, oh, there's a guy here from Norway who I think is going to be good. Can we put him on? And the host was like, yeah, let's go for it. He comes on, absolutely smashes this gong show at Vauxhall Comedy Club. Does brilliantly, one of the best things I've ever seen, to be honest. And then the story, like, and he's told me this recently, is that because he won that gong show, he thought I can do the gong show at the Comedy Store, and won that. And a clip from that went viral on TikTok. And because of that clip, Britain's Got Talent reached out to him and said, would you like to audition for Britain's Got Talent? And he thought, well, Britain's Got Talent is essentially just a big gong show, because a gong show, for the folks at home, 3 audience members are given red cards. And if you get 3 red cards, then you're done, which is pretty much an identical format to the 3 judges with their big buzzers on Britain's Got Talent. So because he'd won those 2 gong shows, he thought, well, I can just do this gong show. That led to him going on and winning Britain's Got Talent. But I think even just after he'd done the Comedy Store, before he'd done his Britain's Got Talent audition, I said, oh, do you want to open for some of the shows on my tour? And like the last one in London, I think it'd be really fun. And Viggo, like for a while, his dream has been to do 20 minutes at the Comedy Store. Like that was his kind of like big thing. So then he goes,
wins Britain's Got Talent, and I fully assume that he is going to pull out of the gig. But Viggo was like, no, I'm really excited for the Comedy Store show. My dad's flying over to watch it. So he comes down, opens for me the week after he wins Britain's Got Talent, and I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. And then I had to pay him, even though he just won £250,000.
You still wanted the money?
Yeah. Well, he still needed the money. Kyle hadn't paid out yet.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I'm supposed to say, but I think he has.
He's out there now. Always break the rules. I forgot what I was going to ask you just now. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, look at that. So I'm hugely in awe of how you've done what you've done. You haven't used the traditional TV ways, and you've basically gone viral, and you've got your audience that way.
Largely, particularly at the start, it was interactions with the audience, because I think that's fun, and it goes quite well on the internet because it feels very in the moment, very like, this is happening right now, it's exciting, it's a real high wire act of like, it could go wrong, and it is very like in the moment and truthful in that way. And also, in a more cynical way, if you post a joke on the internet and it gets millions of views, then you can't really tell it at the show.
You seem to be a massive fan of comedy. Is that your life?
I'm obsessed with comedy. I mean, my girlfriend is laughing in the background of this interview right now because all I talk about is comedy, and it's the way I relate to the world, and it's the way I understand the world. So frequently somebody will be talking about some kind of idea that they've had or something they're struggling with, and very often my response is, oh, you should see this person's joke about that. If somebody says to me, oh, we've got this TV show that we'd like you to be on, and it pays X amount of money. A lot of comedians for a lot of years would have had to say yes, even if the TV show is shit. But if I get asked to be on a TV show, and I have, that I think is shit, I say no, because I don't like doing things that I think are shit.
That's brilliant. You must be starting to get offered stuff.
A couple, but it's for shit things. So I like, you know, there's things that I want to be on that I'm not on. And people always say, oh, you have to do the bad stuff as kind of a stepping stone to get on the ladder, to keep going up and up and up. And I kind of think,
why?
That doesn't feel like integrity to me.
No.
I was showing my cousin your book the other day. I loved it. My cousin is tour managing on the tour, which is nice. But my cousin's been teaching himself how to do photos and things. He was like, what do you want them to look like? And I was like, here's a book of all Steve's photos.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Did we get that? Is that on? We'll keep that.
I think I was always just terrified that none of the gatekeepers would want anything to do with me.
So at the beginning you did the normal thing of going around the clubs and trying to get into gigs and open spots?
Yeah, I still do the clubs, I still do all that stuff. I think that's...
Where was your first gig?
I hosted my first gig, which is stupid. I was at university at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and I was studying to be a classical musician.
In what instrument?
I was a classical percussionist.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. I performed at the proms and everything. I've done all, I've done all that stuff. Thought I'll give comedy a go. And I was just naive how scary or how difficult it was supposed to be, so I just was like, well, I'll just host a gig at Freshers Week at my own university.
Bloody hell.
So I did that a few times, just hosted, no material, just made it up, chatted to people. It was probably awful, but I was stupid and enjoyed it. Like, people talk about doing the social media thing or doing your own thing as like some kind of risk, but it feels like a much safer option to me. Yeah. 'Cause even if you get on all the TV shows, if you do them all in 1 year and they don't go that well, then you have nothing at the end of it other than a big tax bill. Building it slowly yourself, like I said about the kind of cancel culture stuff earlier, to cancel me in any meaningful way, you'd have to email about 100,000 people.
Best gig so far?
If you'd asked me that question about 20 hours ago, I probably would have said my tour show last night. Yeah. And then I woke up this morning having been tagged on Twitter in a review of it saying it was 3.5 stars.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Are you affected by that? How does that get to you?
You have to batten down the hatches a little bit. I do read them. I know you're not supposed to, but I do read them. I remember when I did my first Edinburgh show, I had a review quite early in The Scotsman. And I was so excited. I was like, I've worked really hard on this show. It was 3 stars in The Scotsman from Jay Richardson. I just cried.
Seriously?
I just cried and cried and cried and thought, fuck, well that's it. That's it, just like done. However, at the same time, I read it and read it and read it and thought, he's probably right about that bit. The pace slows down a little bit too much at a couple points. So I'm going to work on that.
Okay.
And look, reviewers, for the most part, are deeply uncreative and unintelligent people. But they watch a lot of...
Keep that in.
They keep it in. Yeah. Fuck them. But they watch a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
Anyone's perspective on your show has the potential to illuminate your own thoughts on it.
What's the skittles on stage?
The big bowling pins.
Because Frankie, my lovely cameraman person, he got it straight away.
So my show is called Who Do You Think You Are? I Am, which is a reference to a viral bowling video that I thought everyone had seen. And given your reaction and lots of people in the audience of the tour's reaction, not that many people have seen the video. The video is of a professional bowler in America, Pete Weber, and he scores a strike and he gets really excited and he screams, "Who do you think you are? I am."
Who do you think you are? I am.
It doesn't make any sense. So I talk about all that in the show, and this is kind of a little bit of set. It becomes a bit of a prop at the end. Spoiler alert, I knock over the bowling pins at the end of the show.
See, when
and then I say the thing.
If you weren't doing stand-up comedy, what would you do?
I mean, realistically, I would probably be some kind of percussionist slash music teacher. In the scale of classical percussionists, I was fine. I was passable.
Right.
I wasn't like some kind of crazy virtuoso prodigy.
Right. You weren't going to go to Evelyn Glennie?
No.
Right.
No. Don't get me started on her.
For real?
Apparently she's not really deaf.
I've shot her. Hersch did a big show at the Cadogan Hall, and she was one of the guests, and she played a piece which was fantastic on pots and pans, but properly tuned.
The rumour is she's not deaf. I have friends who've said they went to a masterclass she was giving and they asked a question from the audience very quietly and she answered.
Is that a way to tell?
But it's quite good branding to be barefoot on stage and say that you feel the rhythms through your feet.
Yeah. Do you like having your picture taken, or is that part of the process of having to have it done, or?
You're good at it.
Thanks.
You're good at like not making it feel like I have to do this face and then do this pose and maybe do that a little bit and whatever. I really appreciate when someone's gotten a nice photo of me, and I think photos can be really beautiful. And I started trying to take photos of comedians in dressing rooms and on stage and try to...
Oh really?
Yeah, I've got an Instagram account called Vittorio Takes Pictures. I just like it, and I refuse to learn what any of the buttons mean.
Have you got a favourite photograph, not necessarily yourself, or you know, a family photograph that kind of brings back anything?
I really struggle with pictures of me when I was a kid. I had incredibly severe anxiety to the point of not really being able to leave the house when I was a child. Lots of panic attacks, anxiety attacks, running away from school, just needing to be home, huge separation anxiety.
Wow.
I would have such severe anxiety attacks that I would like hallucinate while having the anxiety. I would hallucinate that the room was full of people pointing at me and laughing, which some people would suggest that my whole career is a reclaiming of the thing I'm most scared of. But there are times where I get so anxious that I have to close my eyes.
Sounds a bit more... Yeah.
Hands over my eyes, because everything in the world is terrifying. That's rare, but it happens.
Yeah.
And I think, a bubbling anxiety a lot of the time.
We're not going to end on that, we'll put something else in.
AI is a powerful tool nowadays. I didn't say any of it. It's all a deep fake.
Are we in the way? Are they in the way?
There's two people that don't want to be associated with me professionally.
Maybe not even personally. Vittorio, it's been honestly, because the first time I saw you, I thought you were fantastic, and I think what you're doing is great. Thanks for getting shot, and have a good gig tonight.
Thank you very much, you too.
Yeah. So like and subscribe to my channel, tell your friends, subscribe. The more we get, the more we can make these wonderful films of comedians and maybe other people later on. But like and subscribe, and see you on the next episode.